Yo, and welcome back to a new video, and in this video I will show you how you can edit this picture which got taken by a girl I know who is in Peru right now. And she sent me this picture and she took it on an iPhone 5. So the quality is not really good, as you can see, but the image looks really awesome. And I will show you in this video how you can try and edit your image which is taken on an iPhone or a Samsung, but it's not a RAW file. So what a RAW file is, it's like a really big file which you could take with the camera, to explain it as easy as possible right now, in which you can adjust everything really easily. And this is a JPEG, as you can see, and the size is way smaller, so you can do a lot less with it. But I will show you how you can still try to edit your image. So here we got the image, and we're not going to use any presets I have over here. As you can see, there are a lot of presets which look pretty cool, as you can see. But yeah, these are just for RAW files and not for iPhone images. So I will show you how you can edit it yourself. Let's go. Okay. So here we have the image. And the first thing I want to do on this image is make it a little bit warmer, but not too much. Just a little bit, like maybe +7. And add a little bit of tint to it, because as you could see is that the background was already a little bit of pink. Then we're gonna boost exposure just a little bit, just +12, and add a little bit of contrast to it. So here we go. So this is the difference already between the images. Looks a little bit better already. So the second thing we're going to do is bring down the highlights. As you can see, this was the original picture, and just look at sky. And this is what it looks like if you bring down the highlights, and this is what it looks like if you boost the highlights all the way. But I'm going to bring it down to I think just -100. And we're not going to open the shadows. This usually would look good on a RAW file, but it looks really bad, as you can see, on the horse, I think. Or is it a donkey? I'm not sure. But that's the reason why we're not going to boost the shadows. Maybe just a little bit, like +24 looks decent. As you can see, it's a little bit better, but don't bring it up all the way. Just a little bit, like +24 looks okay. So next thing we're going to do is bring up the whites by pressing the Alt key and switching over here until we see the first light coming through. Then we let it go, and then we bring down the blacks a little bit, just like this. Okay, so we don't touch the clarity too much, just a little bit. So this is what the image looks like with no clarity, and this is what the image looks like with a lot of clarity, and this is what the image looks like with -100 clarity. So we're just going to add a little bit of clarity. Just +14 looks okay, and just +10 vibrance, and let's take a look, +5 saturation. So this is the difference already between the images. And the second thing we're going to do is add a little bit of tone curve to it. We just bring this a little bit up, because you get a little bit of like a hipster look. It looks a little bit better. So don't bring it up too much. Just +9.8 looks okay. Or bring it a little bit down maybe. And just going to mess around with the tone curve. You can try an S curve, which I'm doing right now. So this is what it looks like without the tone curve, and this is what it looks like with the tone curve. This is what it looks like with the tone curve. Just mess around with it. You can mess around with it for a really long time, but for the sake of the video, I will just keep it like this. But usually I will spend for maybe 20 minutes on the tone curve, because it's one of the most important part of the image. The next thing we're going to do is bring down the green all the way to yellow, because it looks a little bit more western, I think, as you can see, to the grass. And you can just mess around with this, but because this is an iPhone image, it usually doesn't look too good. So I like it a little bit. I like the grass to be a little bit orange. So that's the reason why we're bringing down the yellow. And we can see the sky chasing right here. I'll bring it a little bit up, so it looks a little bit more green. And the blue is a lot of the image, as you can see. So don't mess with it too much. Just bring it up a little bit. Like +9 looks okay. Or maybe a little bit less, +7. And here it gets changed also the mountains. So I'll bring it down a little bit, -9. So there's a little bit of purple / blue feel to it. Okay, we'll close this and then we'll move on to split toning. This can make your image look a little bit more warm. So I'll switch a little bit to orange. And for here, I'll choose blue. Just mess around with it a little bit. You can spend a lot of time on it, but I will just keep it like this. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is change the detail, which is pretty hard for this image because it's an iPhone picture, so it already looks kind of bad. Like the quality of it, not the image, but the quality. So you can try to sharpen the image, but I wouldn't suggest to do it too much. I'll just keep it like 29, and the noise reduction just a little bit like 20. Just take a look what looks good on the image. I think we can just take it down a little bit, like 10 is alright, I think. Yeah, so this is the difference. Okay, so you can see the difference between the images right here. It looks a little bit like a fairy tale already. It looks kind of cool. I like the sky. I like how this is looking, but I just don't like how he is looking right now because he's pretty dark. It has two sides. It looks cool because he's really dark, but it looks also bad because you can't really see him. But the next thing we are going to do is add a little bit of vignetting, just -7 or -5 is alright. And you can change all of this, but I wouldn't suggest change it too much because yeah, it looks it makes the image look kind of orange and teal, which is a nice effect, but not really for iPhone quality image because as you can see right now it looks kind of weird. But you can bring down the blue priority a little bit on this image, and I will change this a little bit to -10. This looks alright. So you just mess around with it, and the next thing we're going to do is change the sky. So the first thing I'm going to do is pick the graduated filter, put it right here, and now we're going to make it a little bit more pinkish by dragging this to here, and +8 looks alright. We'll bring down the contrast, and exposure's alright. The highlights, bring it down a little bit. We'll make this, the shadows bring up a little bit, clarity a little bit up, so you get some more detail to it, and just a little bit more saturation. So we're done with this. Next thing I'm going to do is add a fake sun to it. So I'm going to open the feather, and this would look like a good place where the sun could be. So I'll press it right here, also right here, and right here. And we're just going to add a little bit of temperature and make it a little bit more pinkish. Don't make it too much because it looks kind of unrealistic. So this looks alright, I think. Yeah, this looks alright. Bring down the contrast a little bit so it looks a little bit darker, and this looks okay. So the last thing I'm going to do, or no, just one more thing before I do the last thing, because the last thing what I'm going to do is change this cowboy, or what he is, in the background. But I'm just still going to change the what is it called again? The clouds. What the hell? The clouds over here, just a little bit. So we're just picking the adjustment brush. Click it right here. Open it. I'll bring down the feather a lot. Where's the feather? Over here. So like this, and we're just going to paint over the clouds. I'll just do it really quick right now because this video is already taking a really long time to do, and you just don't want to watch it, me doing it in all detail. It's just for the sake of the video. I'll do it really quick. So we'll select all of the clouds right here. So this looks alright. Okay, so I'm going to make it a little bit more pinkish, as you can see right now. So a little bit more pinkish. I'll boost the contrast a little bit, and I don't want to touch the exposure. So this looks alright. And the next thing and the last thing that I'm going to do is add another brush to the cowboy in the background. So we'll zoom in on him. And for this, I will use the auto mask right here. So I'm not going to use any feather. And this can take a pretty long time because it has to do, it takes a lot of time. I press O because it has to do a lot of, you have to do a lot of detail as the hairs right here. And so what we're going to do right now is select all of the horse, or I don't know if it's even a horse, and all of the cowboy. So it takes a pretty long time, but I'll try and do my best to do it as quickly as possible. And yeah, if you're in a really beautiful area, like on holiday, I would really suggest you to bring a camera with you. We could shoot RAW, and don't ever shoot JPEG, because JPEG just looks really, just doesn't look as good as RAW if you shoot on a camera. With RAW you can edit a lot more. Yeah, I will just suggest to never use an iPhone if you want to edit in Lightroom. I know I also shot a lot of images with an iPhone, and when I went to Hawaii, I shot a lot of images with the iPhone, and they looked pretty good, but I could just do so much more with it with Lightroom, and I couldn't because I shot it with an iPhone. So last thing we're going to do is select the head. And I'm not going to select all of him because it would just take too much time. But you get the idea. You just select all of the cowboy over here. As you can see, it doesn't look really good. But you will usually select all of the cowboy. We're going to bring up the exposure a little bit. So like this. Add a little bit of contrast to him. Open the highlights. Bring down... No, don't bring down the shadows. We just don't touch the shadows at all because you can see it looks really bad. You can just try and open up the clarity a little bit, and this is what a final image would look like. So as you can see, it looks really good. It's not a really big difference as you could do with an RAW file, but this is how you can edit your picture which you took with an iPhone. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I think this video is pretty long. Yeah, it's 12 minutes long. But I hope you got through it all. And I will see you next time. Bye.